This episode of Cognitive Dissonance is brought to you by AdamandEve.com. Just go to AdamandEve.com and type in Glory. That's Glory at checkout, and you'll get 50% off almost any item, a free sex swing, and free shipping.
Hey, Cecil, this is Mark, the troublemaker from the Scathing Atheist podcast. I just wanted to talk about something you guys talked about in terms of expertise within Congress. I mean, I think that there should be a certain level of expectation, but I also think that we should go back and have things like the Office of Technology Assessment that Newt Gingrich got rid of when he was Speaker of the House. At least providing unbiased information on science and technology might help those people who don't have the expertise, give them someplace to go to rather than what often happens, which is for them to go to corporations and stuff to get their assessments of technology, which leads to climate change denialism. So I just want to throw that out there. Glory hole, motherfuckers.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 451. And Cecil, I have a question, man.
What?
It's 2019.
Yeah.
It's 2019. Do you have any resolutions?
Resolutions. You know, I was talking to somebody about this the other day.
You're feeling resolute. That's my...
And one of the things that people do is they set this arbitrary date to decide to improve yourself.
Yeah.
When you could just do it whenever.
No, that's okay. All right. Just,
you know,
all the fun just left the room.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
That's all right.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Hold on.
I'm going to...
That was the fun leaving the room right now.
I know what my resolutions are going to be. I know what it's going to be.
All right.
I'm going to check Facebook more. And retweet things.
Oh,
I don't know.
God, that is a great
What about you? You got a plan?
Well, you know, I mean, I don't know if you heard, but in my intro, I changed the intonation of my...
I was going to mention it, and then I didn't want to make it weird.
Of my voice. No, I'm trying to be less predictable. I'm the wild card.
Are you the wild card?
Well,
are you the wild card?
Well, he's the wild card for Citation Neat.
Yeah.
I thought this show needs a wild card.
Does it? Okay.
And so I subtly changed some of the intonations of my intro.
Are you the wild card like poker wild card, or are you like the Uno wild card?
Which one is worse?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I can't draw 4. I'm 40. Like draw.
Draw 4. 4 is big.
4
is diesel.
4.
I could get maybe 4 fingers. Well, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to everybody.
2018 was a hell of a year.
2018 was a hell of a year. 2016 still goes down as, I think, one of the worst years.
2016 was a shitty year.
It was one of the worst years ever. 2016 was a dumpster fire.
It was so bad.
2017 wasn't great.
I had a good 2018.
You did, but a lot of people did not.
I know. I will admit.
Yeah,
like
a lot of
my
people did
personal
not.
2018
Yeah. A lot of
scores
people,
in the top.
A lot of people didn't. 2018 kind of sucked politically. 2019, I've been reading a ton of stuff.
I'm scared for 2019.
Well, I've been reading a lot of stuff that basically says they're expecting something big to happen with the Trump thing pretty soon.
I read an op-ed that was interesting that I thought like, oh, that's an exciting prediction. It's just a bullshit op-ed prediction, right? So I'm not pretending it's otherwise.
It's like a Lance Wallin prediction.
No, maybe a little, but all right.
Yeah.
But it basically said, 2019 might see Trump agree to vacate office in exchange for immunity for him and his family.
Him and his family, yeah.
And I thought,
he doesn't care about his family that much.
I thought, I know. I kind of thought the same thing. Like, oh man, but like it's 2019 is going to be interesting. I do think we'll be in a recession.
Yeah,
I feel
think you're right.
very confident that we'll be in a recession. I'm nervous, very nervous actually about 2019 in terms of like what it means for the financial prospects.
Will we have a wall at the end of 2019?
Fence? Yeah. Did you say fence?
I said a wall.
Fence? I think you said fence.
A wall.
Fence.
Build the fence. That doesn't sound as good. It doesn't sound as good, Tom, when you chant it.
Erect a fence. No, that sounded a little better.
That does sound a little better.
The first word better.
I like erect. We have erectile dysfunction on our fence. We had a brand new bunch of freshman congressmen and women sworn in.
Oh, you can tell because you hear them throwing pennies at them.
Yeah. You know? Whipping pennies at them. Somebody dumped their books in the hall. They gave them a wedgie in the quarters.
Stuffed in a fucking locker in the
One of them walks in with a swirly. He's telling the principal on everybody. But yeah, so we had a brand new freshman class sworn in. And you know, it's interesting. One of the things that I saw in a couple of places was they were saying the era of divided government begins, is what they said. In a couple of places, and I'm thinking, begins? Wait, where the fuck have you been, pal?
That's also the word I seized upon in that sentence.
Begins?
Oh, as opposed to the bipartisan unitarian, the utopia we've been enjoying.
Yeah,
all these many years.
Yeah, every day they sit down and sing Kumbaya together. The fuck? Where have you been to say it begins?
Divided government begins.
But they did swear in a brand new bunch of Congress people, and there's images of them, Tom, at New York Times, and the diversity on one side and the white maleness on the other. I will say there's a diverse number of eyes on the Republican side.
Not everybody
has two eyes. And so that's diverse.
Hold on, scroll up a little bit because you know, there's 10 newly elected senators, and this is actually encouraging. So there's 3 Democrats, there's 7 Republicans. There are 5 women.
5 women, yeah, half of them. So that are newly elected.
That's great news.
Yeah,
you know, that is great news, right? There's 101 newly elected representatives, and you know, obviously there are more on the blue side than the red side, but the blue side isn't just blue.
No,
it's brown and it's white and
there's a hijab in here and.
Yeah, it's actually incredibly exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of women.
There's a lot of young people too. Like, look at the age diversity.
Yeah. You scroll up and you just see there's just like so many women that are in this freshman class here. And then you look on the other side for the House. I'm going to count the women on the Republican side. Now, again, Tom said there's not as many people on the Republican side, but 2? Am I seeing 2?
Yeah, there's 2. So like let's do some basic math. So there's 2 women, there's 37, so that's 1/16.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 1/16.
And okay, so there's 1/16 of the people on the right are women.
Yeah.
There is 1/37 on the right that are pirates. So
that dude is a badass. I'm telling you, they got Solid Snake to run from Metal Gear Solid on the fucking Republican side. He's turning me into a Republican. He's also turning me a little gay. I'll be perfectly honest. That is badass. Dude has an eye patch, like straight up eye patch.
Because he's a Navy SEAL who lost his eye in combat.
And he lives in a fucking volcano lair somewhere.
He's got a straight up black fucking eye patch.
He does. He has a pirate eye patch.
Would you, if you had to go eye patch?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. Hard yes. Also, I'd wear one of those tricolor hats that pirates wear.
I'd wear one of my hands just to have the hook.
Oh, yeah. I'd lop up one of my legs at the peg. Are you kidding me? I'd get pegged. Sure.
By yourself, by your own leg?
I'd get pegged by that guy. I wouldn't say no.
Yes, you would.
I'd be like, yes, sir.
Yeah, no is not what you say to that guy.
Not to a guy who's willing to lose an eye. No. You kidding me?
All right. And so the ladies account for 1, 2, 3, 35. More than half, buddy.
Oh, my gosh.
42 total women will join Congress in January. Of those 42 women, 4 4. This would have been easier to do the math off this grid right here. Yeah. 4 of them are Republican. The other 38 are Democrat. If you want to know who represents like a snapshot of the demography of America, on a party scale.
At least for the ones that are newly elected. Now, that still is probably much smaller women.
Right, when you compare
because there's still 400 more people or whatever.
But look at that trend line.
Yeah.
That trend line right there. That's the trend line you should see, right? Oh, about half of us are ladies and about half of us are guys. Yeah, about half of us should, if you want to be actually fucking represented.
Yeah, we need more women's marches, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like
effective.
This is, and I also think this is directly a result of Trump and his policies.
I totally agree.
The way in which he has treated women in the past and the way in which he talks about women currently.
When we got true progressives in, look at the amount of young people on that list.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you look on the right, there's a lot of older white guys.
Yeah.
You look on the left, there's still some older white guys, hell of a lot less, a lot of young people.
Didn't on the right, didn't they elect a dead pimp?
They did in Las Vegas. They elected
a dead pimp.
Yes. Yeah.
Why are you sticking your hand to make him vote?
In the coin slot.
What's great is in death, he would be the one getting violated.
You are watching the beginning and the birth of the New World Order. And you want to call me crazy? Go to hell. Call me crazy all you want.
All right, this is just amazing. This is from HuffPost. Rudy Giuliani goes full conspiracy theorist because he doesn't understand the internet. So this is the fucking greatest thing. Rudy Giuliani has Twitter, and he does not have the ability to use it properly because he wrote this. Mueller filed an indictment just as the president left for G20. Now, he wrote a period and then did not hit space. Then he wrote, in July, he indicted the Russians who will never come here just before he left for Helsinki. Either could have been done earlier or later. Out of control supervision, please. So, but the problem is I don't know.
God, that's the worst. He was a fucking mayor, man.
I know.
Communicate better. Twitter's the worst medium, but also that doesn't even make it 2 tweets.
Yeah, look, if the medium does not allow you to express yourself, use a different medium.
Pick something else.
Pick a different thing.
Go to Instagram.
Look, man,
take a picture of your weird stroked out face.
Not everything has to be a fucking haiku. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean that's the right way to do it. It's I gotta write it 575. Yeah. Why? I'm not real sure, but that's the rule. And fuck. All right. So he wrote G20. Period IN, we didn't put a space. Well, that created a link, right? And so when that created a link, somebody was like, I am buying where this link goes. So they bought it.
They bought G-20.in.
Right.
And it currently has a blog that just at the very top says Donald J. Trump is a traitor to our country.
And then it's a link to a bunch of Trump stories.
Yeah, it's a bunch of Trump stories. If you scroll down, it's just a bunch of Trump stories that have been posted on this.
And not Trump stories doing a great job.
Not a picture of him cutting a ribbon. That's for sure.
It's not petting puppies.
Yeah.
So then he Rudy Giuliani, instead of being like, oh, that's embarrassing, I should delete my tweet.
I should forget that this ever happened, and hopefully everyone else will too.
That's it's like when you scratch somebody's car in the parking lot, and then you do what all good people do. You drive away and go to a different grocery store across town.
Yeah, but instead of erasing history like he should have,
it should have been that was embarrassing. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, or just delete it and never mention it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what he did. He replied, first of all, to himself, because this is replying to Rudy Giuliani. So he replied to himself, and he wrote, Twitter allowed someone to invade my text with a disgusting anti-president message. The same thing, period, no space, occurred later, and it didn't happen. Don't tell me they are not committed, card-carrying anti-Trumpers. Time magazine also may fit that description. Fairness, please. So he doesn't know how it works.
He doesn't know how it works at all.
And he's demonstrated an unwillingness to learn, yet a willingness to be belligerent about his unwillingness to learn, which I appreciate. That's old man angry. That's Gran Torino angry. You know what I mean?
Does he have... it's get off my lawn angry.
It really is.
Do you think he has a staff that works with him, or is he just a rogue? like,
No, he must have a staff.
so what? Because then you got to figure what age is his staff then? Because they clearly don't know. Because what should happen is what should happen is the moment this that he sends out that first initial tweet and then he tweets this one out, one of his under 40 staff should walk up, slide their arm over him and say, Rudy, here's the deal, bud. You fucked up. You're kind of a fucking dullard. You don't know how any of this stuff works. Just delete both those tweets and let's move on. They're still there. Yeah. December 4th, man.
It's still up.
It's still there.
Because he doesn't know enough to be ashamed of himself. Like he's like he is of that ilk that he is so convinced that he is right that he doesn't know enough to be ashamed of his own fucking spectacular ignorance. So Twitter, of course, went crazy.
Well, some of these are so amazing. Some of these are so amazing.
So first of all, there's one that's just a picture of from The Simpsons. It's just it's like a headline.
Yeah. Old man yells at cloud. Yeah. And it has Rudy Giuliani superimposed in it. It's great. Oh, that's hilarious.
I love that.
My favorite, and I'm gonna I don't know how to explain this. I don't know that I want to. What I want to do is I want to include a link to this story. Scroll down until you see Helen Claire Dafour's tweet. It is, Tom and I saw it before the show.
It's so great.
And we laughed until we cried. It's so fucking funny. Her tweet response, you can't do better than that tweet response.
So Midnight John writes, so you have the audacity to brand yourself as a cybersecurity expert, but you don't even know how domain name registration works.
That's amazing.
Somebody else, I would pay big money to watch someone explain to you what actually happened.
This is so good.
Tonight's episode of Grandpa Can't Understand the Internet is horrible.
These are so good. You got to scroll through these and check these out. But Giuliani just can't find his ass with two hands.
He's the perfect, face of this administration.
Oh, yeah. An incompetent boob who doesn't understand anything at all.
Yeah.
This is, we talked about it before. We talked about it a dozen times. People not qualified to be part. I mean, this is a guy who ran a city during the biggest crisis it ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Stop and think about that, guys. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
It just by chance wasn't. That's just a true thing you have to live with now. I will say, like, if you're in a position of, and I do mean this, we've talked about this before, but I think it's a good rule. Like, if you're in a position where you're communicating to the world and you're over 40, employ a 14-year-old. Everything you write, run it past a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
If they giggle, do not post that publicly. You don't get it. You wrote something obscene. They think it's hilarious. Because how many times does that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like same shit here. It's like employ a 14-year-old is like, stupid, that's a link.
Yeah.
What? Let me fix it, old man.
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah.
One keystroke.
Just like the Bible says, it's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said. It's what they warned of. It's what we're dealing with. They're demons.
I didn't think we'd have a chance to talk about Alex Jones again, buddy.
Well,
but I am so gratified right now. Right Wing Watch, Alex Jones says Trump will strike back against the pedophile rings in 2019. My favorite thing about this is that he also throws his own personal troubles in, while he's like, I'm going to go after the pedophile rings and the censorship.
Yeah, and the censorship people.
Because I want to get, I know they're fucking kids in my imagination, but
they're
maybe
also kind of fucking me too.
Maybe help me out too while you're got your. All right, it's great.
This is Alex Jones from his non-YouTube show InfoWars.
Yeah, where can you find this show?
BitChute, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
I know it's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances, but I don't do it to make my money and be on TV like the Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy?
Did he just say the Fall Guy?
Wait a minute. Yeah,
Did he say? Wait, did he just Did he just mention? Wait, did he say Lee Majors?
Yeah.
Be like the Fall Guy, Lee Majors.
The Fall Guy. Do you remember that show?
I remember that. It was a show. I've never watched it because No, like it's like Hawaii 5-0 shit, right?
It predates. I remember it when I was a kid. It was on.
Yeah,
and it was like a stunt man. Maybe he was a stunt man.
I vaguely remember this. Can we listen to him say "death defying" again?
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
he mush mouths this so wonderfully.
Let's just start it all over. Let's start it all
from the beginning.
Like that show when I was a kid. I know it's a death-defying life I lead.
Death-defying life I lead. I know it. I took a lot of Oxy before the show.
But I don't do it to, make my money and be on TV like the Fall Guy.
No, you can't even be on YouTube.
Does the Fall Guy
make money?
Like,
I think he's dead.
Is that a fictional character, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a series. It was
I don't think then that's
Super Dave Osborne. All
right.
Who just died.
Like that show when I was a kid.
What is that? I liked that show when I was a kid.
Greg Cecil, what else did you like when you were a kid? It's relevant.
I like corn muffins.
Okay.
When I was a kid.
Honey Smacks.
I like warm socks out of the dryer.
I still like those. Who doesn't like warm socks out of the dryer?
I like it when I rent a car and then I pull up to the gas pump right the first time and it's when I have to like circle around like a shark. I like that a lot.
I do it so my children will have a future. Though we should probably come in with the Fall Guy next segment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You should come in with the Fall Guy. Here, let's do it right now.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. I've never been with anything less than a 9.
What?
This is so 90s or late 80s. It's amazing.
That feels like TV had been invented just for this.
80 to 86.
Okay.
TV been invented. It's just like, it doesn't work on the radio. This Fall Guy thing. I love Bill. Get on that TV thing.
I love the conceit. For those of you who, aren't a million, is an American action adventure television program produced for ABC and originally broadcast from November 4th, 81 till May 2nd, 86. It stars Lee Majors.
5 years. It's 5 seasons, baby?
Yeah. Lee Majors, Douglas Barr, and Heather Thomas and I love this, Hollywood stunt performers who moonlight as bounty hunters.
Let me tell you.
How does that pitch go in the fucking
I'll tell you what,
room?
I would have 1 million warrants if Heather Thomas was the...
I don't know her.
When I was a kid, she was oh my gosh.
That was your
I feel when I talk about her, I feel like my voice is changing. Yeah, I remember Heather Thomas. Oh, goodness gracious.
Anyone needs me, I'm going to take a few minutes and remember her real hard.
Caliente.
But right now, let's go ahead and go to the first call here. Let's go to Wild Man in Illinois. Thanks for holding and about to say Happy New Year. Go ahead.
Wild Man
in Illinois. What are you doing? I'm leaving.
Jesus. What? A guy who nicknames himself Wild Man is the least. He's like a dainty pug eating a little tiny bone. He's the least wild man ever.
$100 says he's got truck nuts. And he's missing one of his own.
Yeah. and one of those gun racks in the back, right, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And in need of a root canal.
Yeah. Not just one. You don't need just one.
Alex.
Welcome.
Yeah. Going into 2019, what Trump's got to do to save America, he's got to declassify FISA, expose...
Jesus Christ. Stop yelling at me.
Here's what Trump's got to do. All right. This is straight from the wild man's mouth to your ears. All right, y'all got to listen up.
Come on back now.
Now, I had to borrow this accent because we don't have one in Illinois. But I got one. I borrowed one. It's all right.
This guy's amazing. He's one of those yell talkers. Just like, I have a cheeseburger.
To save America, he's got to declassify FISA.
With the whole thing? Just declassify all foreign intelligence?
It's all for just
expose the corruption, arrest the traitors, and arrest the pedophiles. That's how he saves America. My opinion.
Well, I don't know how that's going to help the economy.
America?
Yeah, all right. I mean, if America's full of pedophiles, that would be a problem. We should fix that, right?
Can't walk down the street in Chicago with a guy opening his coat and be like, hey, buddy, want to buy a kid? And he doesn't even have full kids in there because that's too heavy. He's just got the fuckable parts he cut off,
Yeah, Chicago's weird.
Yeah.
A lot of meat packing.
Yeah.
I saves America. My opinion, an over-the-road trucker, hardworking, honest man, that's what I believe.
I agree. Victory or death. He's now, looks like he's cleaning house. He's getting rid of all the double agents. And the word is Trump is going to go into battle now. We're talking he's going to strike back against the censorship. He's going to strike back against the pedophile rings. It's already begun.
Is he going to strike back against the Rebel Alliance, too? Is that what he's going to do?
He's cleaning house. And by cleaning house, I mean a lot of people are quitting.
He's cleaning house. He's cleaning his cabinet every week. He's scraping up. It's eventually... Literally, he's going to have a piece of macaroni as his, like one of the heads of state. Like his Secretary of State's going to be a piece of cremette macaroni.
Like cremette. I love it. Like he's cleaning house. Like people are quitting in protest and then writing letters that are passive aggressive shots across the bow about how he's the worst.
Did you see his reaction to Mattis where he said he basically fired him? Did you hear about this?
No, what?
So he said something to the effect of it was such jibber jabber. He was getting interviewed and he's giving his first cabinet meeting. And
was anyone there?
The press won't miss it. The press loves this guy and they want to get everything they can. And so he's talking and he's doing his thing where he says, well, you saw Mattis in Afghanistan. What he did was not good. Wasn't good. He didn't do good. And so Obama basically fired him. And I pretty much did the same thing.
I double fired him after he was fired.
You didn't.
No, he quit.
He quit.
That guy quit.
You can't fire somebody after they quit. It's like, you have no power over me.
I think that's his only shit. Can I fire you now? Can I fire you from a job you get after this one? What do I do?
I wanted to fire you in a sort of like a retroactive way. Right. Because you pissed me off because you quit. Because you made it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about.
Well, so, I mean, like, the people that are leaving his administration are all universally like, it's chaos. John Kelly's like, that's chaos.
Yeah.
It's fucking madness. Yeah. Mattis is like, this guy is a bad decision machine.
Yeah.
McChrystal came out and is like, the president is fucking amoral. Like, people are, I mean, Mitt Romney shot at him. Did you see the Mitt Romney thing?
Mitt Romney's now a senator.
They're talking now. I read an article that was like the Republicans are concerned that they might have, instead of just an incumbent, they might have a primary in 2020.
I saw that. I saw that there was going to be some talk about whether or not there's going to be a primary.
That would be amazing.
I don't know that he's going to make it that long. Like the way, I mean, like a lot of people were talking about it before, but I thought the Democrats were going to come in and kind of be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, but early on, they're talking about we're going to subpoena
opening
this,
up
we're going to subpoena this, we're going to go look because they
want 10 years of his tax records.
Yeah, the House is trying to pass a bill. It won't go past the Senate, and it certainly would definitely get vetoed by Trump. But they've already penned a bill that said anybody who runs for office in the future, you have to present 10 years of your taxes and your vice president's taxes, and they go on a website and everybody can look at them.
Yeah,
they're trying to set that up because the gentleman's word that was the norm for 40 years is not the norm anymore because he blatantly ignored it because it's like, he's like the asshole who goes into the fucking art museum in Chicago and he's like, suggested donation, fuck you. And then he walks right in. You know what I mean? Like he's an asshole.
Right.
And the thing is people fucking just trusted the system to work because that's how it's always been done. But we've noticed a couple of things. They blew shit up with the nuclear option a couple of years ago. All these gentlemen agreements are going right out the window.
Yep.
Put this shit, memorialize this shit in a law that can't be changed. Then you're going to fucking make sure that these people that would never, and I truly believe this. And I can be wrong, right? I can be wrong, but I definitely believe that this is true, that he would have never got elected. If his taxes were available. I don't think he would have.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because I think it would have shown some serious misconduct. I was listening to a podcast this week where they're talking about his father's wealth and the amount of money his father had and how they got it to his sons.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. I listened to the same show.
Oh, my gosh, it's nuts. All the stuff that went on, all the shady deal. I mean, blatant fraud.
Oh, absolutely, like crazy.
They've uncovered blatant fraud, but it's past the statute of limitations. They can't do anything about it.
But what's amazing to me is like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff, we talked about this last week, like all this stuff is known And like at some point, we're just sort of like shrugging, like, you know, I know he raped a baby, but
whatever.
I mean, we never, you know, he cares about the Rust Belt or whatever the fucking excuse is. Like he's angry the way I like my anger, you know, with fucking the right sauces on it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get it anymore.
Well, I think that a lot of people are going to eventually turn on him because what you have right now is we're running into a recession. Wall Street's taking a shit. So even the people that are rich, they're starting to feel a pinch.
Well, it's because he's a bad decision machine. He's a short-term cost cutter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, if a lot of your money is tied up into the stock market and you're a rich person and you're starting to take a tank, you're going to have a different viewpoint when it comes time for 2020. Yeah. And you're not going to be putting money towards him, and you're going to be making sure that he doesn't get reelected, because what you want is that epic growth that we've had for the last 10 years since Bush. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Well, I mean, you know, it's funny because for a long time, people were like, oh, well, you know, I mean, what you got to look at is the stock market. And then you say, well, the stock market's not actually an indicator of how people are actually doing. But you know, because a lot of people don't understand how the economy as a whole relates to the stock market, and that the two are not co-equal.
Yeah, they're not equal.
You know, there was always a narrative that could be spun by the Trump administration. Said, look how great the markets are doing. Look how great the markets are doing. And then he would say, the economy is so strong. Look how great the markets are doing. And even though those two things don't necessarily correlate, and even though most people don't have very much individual personal net gain when the markets go up or down, right? Or net loss when the markets go down. Most of us are not tied up heavily in the markets, right? Most of us spend most of the money we make every week.
Yeah.
So for most people, that doesn't actually do much. Maybe it affects your 401k, but it's not money. That's money that's down the road money. That's not immediate, how do I pay for grocery bills money? So, but he was conflating the two on purpose, because while there were a lot of indicators like wage stagnation, et cetera, that the economy wasn't really doing very well for most people on the ground, he could point at Wall Street. He could point at the Dow.
Right.
Now he can't point at anything.
The jobs aren't paying money that, you know, is able to, like, a living wage. And then you have the stock market starting to go down, or there's no wage growth. You know, it's a bad economy. It's not a good economy.
No, it's a very weak economy. It's a very fragile economy.
And we're going to see, I think you're right. I think in the next year, we're going to see a dip for sure.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the growth, a lot of the economic stability over the last several years was propped up by a handful of tech companies buying back their own stocks. So that's a huge part of the growth that we saw. It's not true growth.
He's going to strike back against the deep state. He's going to strike back against all the criminal activity of Comey and Mueller being Russian operatives. So just
now they're Russian. Comey and Mueller are now. That's the new story, is that they are now Russian operatives.
I don't know that I've ever heard them called Russian operatives, but they've certainly called them, you know, that they're out to get Trump.
It's so funny that there is very likely actual Russian interference and actual Russian operatives interfering with our elections.
Yeah.
And then the people that we've tasked with sussing that out are now being flipped. Like the narrative just flips it. It's like, well, maybe they're the operatives. We're not, because at some point you can't deny anymore that there is Russian influence, right? So once you get to that point where you can't deny any longer there's Russian influence, then all you do is change the actors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how many people will be like, oh, now I can make the pieces fit the way I want them to fit again. Now that puzzle is kittens. It wasn't looking like kittens for a little while there.
I just can't get my head around the fact that people hear this stuff. They hear that, you know, a guy, lifelong Republican in Mueller, right?
Yeah.
A guy who worked in Republican administrations, who has not shown himself to be partisan really at all.
No,
right?
That guy's...
And I say Republican in the sense that, you know, he's Republican. He tells people he's Republican, but he has been for decades, right? So the only reason I bring it up, not because he is partisan, but because he's been so nonpartisan his whole career.
He has been, every article, and I've read many, every article that I have read about Mueller has basically said that he is the last Boy Scout, that he is unassailably ethical, that he is absolutely like, he is the most milquetoast of milquetoast, that he's there, he wakes up, he puts on the same suit, the same shirt, the same tie, he goes to work, he just puts his head down and does the job and is uninfluenced by dreams of power, by, he's basically the uncorruptible last Boy Scout. Nobody, they can't find anybody to talk shit about this guy.
They tried to get that one guy. Remember, like one guy who's like, yeah, Mueller grabbed some woman's ass who used to work for him.
I won't take money to badmouth this man.
And then the questions devolved into, are you ready for federal prison?
Yeah, and your fly is down.
So even those incompetent boobs couldn't make hay with this guy.
And you can't, there's no way that you could say that Comey, who fucking torpedoed the Clinton campaign at the fucking penultimate moment.
Did we forget about that?
And we're looking at him and saying now he's on the Democrats' side. What are you fucking high?
Yeah.
The reason we don't have President Clinton is because of the release of because of the way that Comey behaved around the emails at the fucking last possible moment, casting a shadow of doubt minutes before the fucking election.
Absolutely.
That is very likely the reason we're not saying President Clinton.
I can't imagine any other reason, right? I mean, because you look at the timing of all that, and that happened right around the time of the fucking Inside Edition or Access Hollywood tapes. I don't remember what it is.
It was like a day or two later.
It was a couple days between the two.
And we're going to look at that guy, that fucking guy, and be like, probably a deep state operative
probably a deep
working against the Trump. The guy who got you elected is working against you?
That doesn't even make any sense.
I've taken another note. I've spent over $3,000 in your store this year. I'm a loyal supporter, and thanks for great products.
Yeah, well, you do sound like you have lead poisoning. So that makes sense.
I got a lot of those penis and bigament pills. I'm still waiting for the embiggerments.
I got that Ultramind stuff you sell. I feel like my IQ points have gone up.
Do you like to fuck? Well, the guys at Cognitive Dissonance want to help you out. It doesn't matter if you fuck yourself, someone else, or lots of someone else's. Their sponsor, AdamandEve.com, has all kinds of things to make fucking more interesting and more fun. Right now at AdamandEve.com, if you type in Glory at checkout, you get 50% off almost any item, a free sex swing, and free shipping. AdamandEve.com. Treat your genitals to a good time.
For fuck's sake, Fortune. This is from Fortune magazine. Trump claims most furloughed government workers are Democrats. He's made several claims about the furlough, about the government shutdown. Can you scroll down a little bit so I can read what he actually said? He said, have the Democrats finally realized that we desperately need border security and a wall on the southern border, need to stop drugs, period. Human trafficking, gang members and criminals from coming into our country. Do the Dems realize that most of the people not getting paid are Democrats? Huh.
It's interesting because there's two takes on that, I guess. The first take is don't you want to protect your own, Democrats? Or I guess the other take would be that,
well, it's our fault we had it coming, right?
Yeah, I guess the other take would be it's our fault, and so we're reaping what we sow. I don't know that there's any good way to take that.
I don't think there's a good way to take that, except for you're burning your own house down stupid is kind of what I think he's saying. Don't you realize you need all this stuff? You're only hurting yourselves. Most of the government workers
are Democrats.
I don't think that there's any reason to believe that that's true. I certainly offers, as is often the case, absolutely no evidence whatsoever. But also, it wouldn't matter if it was true, because that's not the reason. The federal government employees who just got furloughed, they are not the reason that the government is shut down.
Sure.
So whatever their fucking individual personal party affiliations are, literally has nothing at all to do with the reasons and the motivations for the government shutdown. The two don't relate in any way, except for him to be like, well, you had it coming, you big dumb poopy heads.
Yeah.
But then what cracks me up is he makes another comment. I don't remember if it's earlier or later at some point, because I can't keep track of his timeline.
Sure.
Where he said basically the government workers love this shutdown. They want me to secure the borders. And then the union for government workers was like, no, we unequivocally oppose this shutdown.
Yeah, we're not a fan of this shutdown.
Right. So it's wait a minute. Are they a bunch of people that do support the wall, in which case they're probably not Democrats?
Yeah.
Or are they, according to this, Democrats? They can't, none of it would matter, but also they can't both be true.
Right. They can't be simultaneously true. You know what's interesting to me? We have had discussions about very qualified people being in office, but I will say this is the point when they shut this government down. This is the point that I do wish that somebody who did live at some point in their life, paycheck to paycheck, was in office.
Yeah.
So they understood what this means to people, because I don't think they get it, right? Like Trump certainly doesn't get it. He doesn't know what not going without a week's pay would mean to a regular family, right? He doesn't know what that means because he's never had to do it. You know, he's been rich his whole life, but it's bullshit what he has to say anyway about how he only got $1 million, whatever. He made a lot of money off of a lot of different things, but that's bullshit anyway. Even if you only got $1 million, right? That's still a lot of goddamn money, a lot more money than a lot of other people have.
Right.
And so I don't care. You have to be pretty, either you have planned a lot or be pretty well off in the sense that you make a lot of money to not be affected by this in a pretty dramatic way. I think most Americans would be affected by this.
Yeah, the statistics absolutely bear that out.
Yeah,
most Americans are paycheck to paycheck.
In a couple of weeks would start to really feel the pinch to this.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm trying to remember who said it. I'm trying to remember who said it. It was a Republican senator or congressman of some kind said something like, you know, there's no reason to worry unless people, you know, are dumb enough not to have set aside some money. His quote is horrifyingly out of touch. It was a few weeks ago. Hang on, let me find it real quick. All right, Representative Scott Perry from Pennsylvania. He thinks that this is going to be harmless. And here is what he said. On Thursday night, he told a political reporter that since Congress typically provides back pay to federal employees after a shutdown, doing without pay for days, weeks, or even months doesn't really matter. Here's his quote. Quote, who's living that they're not going to make it to the next paycheck? He asked.
What?
Yeah. He's that fucking stupid. And then, you know, what's interesting is this, according to data from the Federal Office of Personnel Management, probably many federal workers, thousands of Pennsylvanians work in federal jobs that pay less than $44,000 annually. The bottom 20% of American households have an average savings of less than $8,750, meaning for many, going without a paycheck or two could present real financial hardship. It's understandable that Perry himself doesn't worry very much about skipping a paycheck. As a member of Congress, Perry gets an annual salary of $174,000. His personal financial disclosure reveals he has at least $500,000 in assets as well.
Yeah, so
he's saying,
of course, he owns his house, right?
Right.
Like, the thing is like, what's going to hit you or me or, you know, our listeners, what's going to hit them is the mortgage payment, the car payment. We don't buy things outright. Right. We buy things on credit, man. Right. That's the only way we can afford them. I can't afford a house unless I buy it on credit. Like, I had to buy it on credit for a real long time, man. It's not like I get it next year and it's mine. I'm a fucking 29 more years in my house.
Right.
I got to fucking pay it off, and I got to pay it off by the month. And if you miss a payment, you miss two payments, what happens? How much money do I have to pay now in late fees, in trying to catch up? Now I got to play catch up for the rest of the year?
Plus the damage to your credit.
Yeah.
The cost of borrowing just increased for everything that you're going to do. You lose credit cards, you lose credit line increases and changes. It's incredibly expensive to lose a paycheck.
Yeah.
It's incredibly expensive. Most people can't lose one paycheck. And it's, you know, the crazy thing is it's not like they got warning, and it's not like they got, you know, oh, I can go get another job. They could get called back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what are they supposed to do? Just live in fucking limbo for how long? While this fucking whatever this is, this game of chicken.
What do you think of these shutdowns? I think these are bullshit.
Oh, they're horrible. They're horrible. This is a way to use the economy to play chicken with people's lives, to see who blinks first, you know?
How do we get ourselves into this situation? I mean, it's a kind of appalling that they use this group of people, and this is millions of people that are, going to be
held hostage.
Yeah, that are held
economically hostage.
I don't know how many people the federal government employs.
Yeah, but this is 800,000 people.
This is 800,000 currently, right?
Right.
You could, you're looking at like close to 1 million people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people in the economy.
Huge number.
The places that these people service aren't being either open or aren't being serviced currently. They're saying that garbage is piling up in like national parks. Certain museums are closed, I guess, because of this or whatever.
The EPA is shut down.
Yeah, the entire EPA is shut down. So, or most of it is shut down. We have, a lot of things that are run by these people because we trust that they're going to run them. And then we just basically just are like, yeah, you just don't have a job for the next couple weeks.
Well, I mean, like, file your taxes. It's June 3rd, right?
Yeah.
But you won't get your refund.
Yeah.
Your taxes, by the way, are still due. So your tax returns are still due. But if you file your taxes, you're not getting a refund during this shutdown. Your refund will not be processed. The IRS is not processing refunds because they're closed.
Yeah. And
right
they
now.
will be. And they will be for, the way Trump is talking and the way the other side is talking is that neither side is willing. The Democrats went to him, I think today with several bills, and they had presented them to him and said, these are bills that will get our government working for 30 days. So we could at least hash out the idea about what's going on with this wall. We can talk about it a little, but we're going to get people back to work and get these parks back open and get things running again. And he refused. He refused because he doesn't want to look weak.
Yeah, and that's I read a couple of articles that's exactly what was said. Is if I back down now, I will look weak.
Yeah, I mean, he said it out loud.
Yeah, right,
out loud and everything.
Confirmed by a number of White House
people
officials. Yeah,
and they're just like, yeah, no, he'll look weak, and so he won't do it because he knows his base would hate it.
Right,
if he looks weak. And I think a lot of his base doesn't rely on this, but I think a lot of his base should be empathetic to not getting a paycheck. And
well, I think a lot of his base, there's a lot of people that look at their tax refund, for example, as a yearly savings account. There's going to be people that file their taxes and are waiting for that refund. And normally they get it in a few days, and you're not going to get it until
see what happens.
It's not like they reopen the government and then you get your tax refund.
Oh no, they got a backlog now.
Backlog.
Yep.
So eat shit on that. This will trickle down to people.
Yeah.
People, it sounds like, it's kind of like the cake baking problem, right? It's like, oh, the national parks are closed. I don't go to the national parks. What's the big deal? But, 800,000 workers aren't working at fucking Yosemite. The federal government employs a shit ton of people, and they perform a tremendous number of services that are all happening in the background of your life that you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
And they're not happening right now. They're just not. And we will all feel the pinch of that at some point if this drags on.
It will. I think it sounds like it will because it doesn't sound like he's going to buckle on this at all.
And that's 800,000 people out there not spending money, right? That's 800,000 people out there who are not pushing the economy forward during a fragile moment.
Yeah, right. And it's growing more fragile by the day.
Mm-hmm.
That China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
I stories from Right Wing Watch. It's also just fucking everywhere. You find this story everywhere. Trump supporters want to buy the wall themselves. So a GoFundMe was started. Oh, goddamn GoFundMe was started by Trump supporters to build the wall. Now, there's 1,000 miles of border. Trump's looking ultimately, he wants $5 billion in this bill. He wants ultimately $20 billion.
See, I hadn't heard the $20 billion figure.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Wow.
That's what it's called. 1,000 miles of wall. Well, he's not even calling it a wall anymore. Now it's
he called a fence
security
company.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, there's the lowest quote I can go. He got 3 quotes and he brought them in, and Judge Judy was like, no, I'll take the lowest one.
Do you know what else is interesting about this? Is that, I think some people who don't live near where the proposed wall would be, I think some people believe that the wall will be on the actual border. That has never been the case. That's never been the plan. I don't know if people really understand that. Is you can't build the wall on the border. First of all, the Rio Grande is the border. So you can't build it in the water.
Would it be a floating wall?
So, and you can't build it immediately next to the water because of flooding and erosion.
And also just like the ground there's probably not very good for it.
So what's going to happen if they build this stupid fucking thing
is we have to invade Mexico take a little bit of their land and build it there.
Well, no, we're going to use eminent domain to take the land from citizens that own this land.
That's fine.
Then we're going to build a wall further inland to our border, because you're not going to build a squiggly wall either. You know, like you're going to build a wall further in on private land.
It'd be awesome if it followed the Rio Grande perfectly. If it's just equidistant.
For no reason, yeah. 100 yards back.
It's equidistant to the river, and it just goes all goofy all the time.
And then you'll have a weird no man's land from the point of the wall forward that, you know, that land has to be
it could be miles
maintained and patrolled. Like, plus, like, you build a wall, if you don't maintain the wall and if you don't patrol the wall, then you don't have a wall.
A useless wall.
Yeah, right? Because, like, if there's a stretch of wall 100 miles long that nobody's patrolling and nobody's maintaining, they're just going to knock a hole in the wall
or you know,
climb it with a ladder.
Yeah, we have defeated walls in the past. It's not like the wall has never been defeated before.
There's just like,
see the Mongols.
There's just like people like walking into it over and over again, like zombies. Just,
yeah.
It's just like
they're just bouncing off it, and then they're like that Pong game where they bounce off it, and then they walk into the river and they bounce back and they keep going back and forth.
No, instead they're gonna be like, well, we built it. We know how to get on.
Yeah, so he's got a GoFundMe that it's up to almost $19 million. And you did a little back of the envelope calculation before we started, to figure out. Now this is a couple of conceits.
Right.
The first is that the amount of income currently, because it's been going for 17 days, would be about 1.1 million in perpetuity per day.
Pace of
It would not be diminishing returns, which is what they're clearly experiencing. It's not diminishing returns. It would continue to be at the same rate. How long, Tom, would it take us to fund the and you gave him $5 billion out of the treasury.
Right. I said he's going to get his 5.
He's going to get his 5. So it's $15 billion.
He's got
18.8 million.
And at this rate, it's only going to take about 40 more years.
4 decades
for this GoFundMe.
Will Trump be around to see this?
Yeah, Trump will be like 112 years old or some shit.
Oh, you know what was so funny is there was a tweet that went out that someone retweeted, and I had to double check to make sure it was real, and it was real. Someone had tweeted when they had just reached 5 million. So when they tweeted out when they reached 5 million. This is one of these MAGA people on Twitter. When they reached 5 million, because their goal is a billion. Is 1.0 billion, right? They tweeted out after reach 5 million. Halfway there, guys. Halfway there, because 5 million is $500 million. What I love so much about that is the people who posted on Reddit were so bitchy about the math. It was so funny. They're like, yeah, you know, we just got there. We just got 5 million, and they put, it was like 24,000 million to go. I think is what they put. No, 24,000 million, I think was what they said or something. It was so funny. Like, whatever. Yeah, I don't remember what the math was, but the math was hilarious.
Two quick things of note before we navigate away. The first is like, isn't it amazing to look at your president and be like, he's so effective, we had to basically create the fuck it, we'll do it ourselves
model. Yeah.
You know?
This is the ultimate bootstraps wall.
Right. Because he'd be like, Trump said he's going to build a wall. Yeah, but our leader can't get it done.
Can't do it.
We love him so much. We'll do it ourselves.
And it has his photo on it, and it's a nice photo.
Right.
They're in this, they are in some way praising him.
Isn't the very fact of this a demonstration of his abject failure to fulfill his promise?
Absolutely. It's his incompetence.
Also, I want to read what it says.
Okay.
The wall is being built, all caps. We are releasing full plan next week. So evidently the Asians are building it.
They didn't even spell check this.
They
didn't use Grammarly.
Full plan.
Yeah.
We have full backing from people you love and trust. It's happening.
It's happening. Just let it happen.
Let it happen.
You know, it's funny. There's a couple of comments that I want to make. One is, I thought we were going to get Mexico to pay for the wall. That's what he campaigned on.
He just said again recently that Mexico is going to pay for the wall that he needs, that he shut down the government to fund.
I also want to point out, too, what does this say about you? This was posted 17 days ago, December 16th. What does this say about you, the donator, that during the Christmas season, you decided to give money to this thing? You know, this isn't a tiny amount of money. We're talking about, I'm looking at 275, 20, 80, 100. You know what I mean? Like, so that's just scrolling down, right? There's some 10s in there and 20s, but there's a couple of substantial amounts of money. What does that say about you that you would decide to do this instead of giving it to like a fucking food pantry during Christmas where somebody could actually get a food? You would rather donate money to your own xenophobia than donate money to somebody else actually getting a food.
Yeah. It's donating to the I'm scared of the monster under the bed fund.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Like, I need a spray that keeps monsters from getting me.
Exactly. Instead of donating to somebody who could actually use that money, and especially during Christmas time, right? Especially during the time, you know, Jesus is the reason for the season, guys.
Remember when Jesus traveled from Nazareth? No, we don't remember anything like that. Fuck you.
Remember when Jesus built a wall between Israel and Palestine?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
It's from Right Wing Watch. Bill Mitchell explains how Trump is like Abraham, David, Solomon, and Han Solo. Is he covered in carbonite?
He's stuck in one position.
Well, it makes sense. He does shoot first.
He does. So. All right. So this is Bill Mitchell from his kitchen, which has a very nice stainless steel appliance in it.
I believe that this is God's country, and I believe that Donald Trump is his man that he's chosen for this time. People say, why would God pick a man like?
Would they? Is that how they would say it? Is that how they would say it, Bill?
They would Porky Pig that shit.
Jesus Christ!
This time, people say, why would God pick a man like Donald Trump? Look back throughout the Bible. Donald Trump is exactly the kind of man that God has picked throughout time. Why? Why would God pick the Abrahams? Why would he pick the Davids? Why would he pick the Samsons? Why would he pick the Solomons? Why would he pick the Pauls, who was Saul and used to murder Christians and ended up writing about half of the New Testament? Why would he pick these people?
Because they could easily co-opt your shitty fucking death cult and use it against people. That's why. Because you're so fucking gullible throughout history that you believe they were chosen by God and they fucking manipulated you. And they're still doing it today because you're so stupid you don't realize you're being manipulated. Like, I mean, really?
I know. It's that is the truest thing you could say about
especially
that.
The Paul thing, right? Whenever anybody brings up Paul, like, oh, I got to change a heart. Yeah, you got to fucking jerk me off, change a heart. Yeah, because he could manipulate you. He could use your own shit against you, and he realized it. Yeah. Like, I mean, how fucking hard is this?
Do we know that he existed?
I don't even know if he existed.
You know what I mean? Like, because if I were going to write a story and I wanted to tell you about the wonders of bibbity boppity boo or whatever this fucking nonsense is, like, wouldn't it be a great story to say that there was this guy who didn't believe and then God opened his eyes and it changed his heart and then he became like, wouldn't that just be an elementarily obvious thing to say? Because remember, like, and these guys seem to lose sight of this, but you can literally write anything down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, absolutely. It doesn't have to have ever happened.
And you know, you're right. I'm trusting their account, right? I'm trusting their account. And when I say that, I don't know. I seriously don't know if it's right or wrong because I don't know enough about Bible history to know. Either. I mean, maybe somebody out there knows. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Just because you wrote it down doesn't mean it happened, man.
Yeah, right. And just because you wrote it down doesn't mean it happened that way to the historical person, right? Like, because there's plenty of people who just say things that aren't true. That's not a new thing we invented recently.
I love too that when he's talking about Trump here, he's like, well, why in the world? Why would we pick this guy? And we hear this constantly over and over and over again. And it's so telling. It's like that that survey question, like, when did you stop beating your wife?
I know.
It's so telling. You're just like, no, you guys think he's terrible too, man.
Yeah.
You guys all think he's terrible too, but he's just your kind of terrible.
Why do you pick these people that had failings and some not so great things in their past, and not necessarily tremendously known as pious people, and use them to save the world? Why? Because then we know it's God.
Well, because the change of heart story makes sense if there's a change of heart needed, right? That story literally has no inspirational power if it's like, well, I already believed, and then I believed more later. Yeah. Like, that's not, who writes that one?
Well, and also, Tom, wait, aren't you like hedging your bets by being able to say anybody can be God's instrument then?
Well, of course.
You know what I mean? Like, that's all you're doing is hedging your bets. Yes. You're like, yeah, well, pious people can be God's servant, but so can bad people.
No, right.
And that way I can point to anyone and say they're God's servant.
God just used the most pious and the most perfect all the time to save the world. We would just assume, these guys were so pious and perfect, they did it. But when he takes somebody who had needed a redemption arc, okay, and he uses them to save the world, then it's like, wow, that's amazing. And it's like Han Solo.
What?
Wait. He's appealing to the kids now.
Hey, fellow kids.
Hey.
I also saw a movie.
You guys
in the 80s.
Those laser sword space guns, right? Yeah.
In Star Wars, Han Solo was a hero from the very beginning. He was a great guy. It would have made God of a boring story. Yeah, okay, yeah, galactic hero saved the universe. He was Mr. Clean. Oh, we get that. But he was a rapscallion. He was a smart.
He's a rapscallion. Was he a scoundrel, sir?
Was he a ruffian? Was he a ne'er-do-well?
Rapscallion.
That word is going in my vernacular.
Those are delicious on a salad, though. A rapscallion.
Diced nice and thin.
Oh, I love it.
Very nice.
Smuggler. He was the bad guy. He was the bad guy that was going to, I remember when Luke was on the ice planet in that big.
It's Hoth, motherfucker. Don't you fucking go there. Hoth, bitch. I'll fucking come at the screen, motherfucker.
This is another thing that didn't happen, though.
It's just something somebody.
It's not a good example.
Do you remember that one movie about space that happened in a galaxy far, far away, long time ago?
Sasquatch grabbed him. And,
it's a wampa! It's a wampa, motherfucker! I'll fucking kill you! Fuck you! You don't even know what you're talking about.
First of all, it would be a Yeti by okay. You can't even analogize right.
The fucking wampa. Fuck off.
Han was like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. And Leia's like, oh, yeah, I expected that of you. And the audience is like, oh, Han, how can you do that? Luke, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. And then Luke, Han all of a sudden shows up and Cat finds Luke and saves Luke. And you're like, yes, that's redemption arc, folks. Redemption arc. And that's, I believe.
That's a narrative trope that's existed literally for centuries.
And that scene is a take on Beowulf where it cuts the wampa's arm off.
Yes, because it's fucking archetypal.
Because it was done centuries ago.
Right.
Yeah.
That shit has existed since we've been telling stories.
Figured that out a long time
because
ago.
At some point we all realize we fucked up.
Yeah.
And we realize that we fuck up and we make of our failings monsters. And then we slay our monsters in stories as a way to ask for redemption in these stories. It's fucking read Joseph Campbell. It's basic hero shit.
Yeah.
It's basic fucking hero shit. There's nothing even interesting about it. That's why it's happened literally all the time.
In every story. That's why George Lucas ripped off.
That's redemption arc, folks. Redemption arc. And that's, I believe, what God is doing with Donald Trump, and he's going to do with America going forward.
Yeah. God. Yeah. He's chopping America's arm off. I don't understand with a light sword.
Just, you know what? I hope he fucking Coyote Uglies America. I hope he wakes up and gnaws his arm off and fucking leaves.
Well, in that scene, that's the scene where Han cuts open the tauntaun and he stuffs Luke in the tauntaun afterwards. And if you look at it, Donald Trump did gut our political system. So it does make sense in that.
Well, something smells awful.
Yeah. I thought it smelled bad on the outside. So we want to thank our patrons. Of course, we want to thank all our patrons. We want to thank our most recent patrons, Stephen E., Stephen Z. I will have a more original name later. Adam, Queen Adelaide, Matthew, Brian, I think, therefore I gam, I hate being awake, Emily, Sherry, and Jordan? I don't know. Jordash. Thank you so much for your generous donations, everyone who donates. Thank you. We appreciate all that you do for this show. We want to mention that next week, we are going to be doing some roasts. We're going to put together a list of people to roast, and we're going to be roasting some people from Vulgarity for Charity. So if you did not hear your roast in the past, I'm not saying we're going to get to all of them, because I know that the scathing guys are going to be doing it soon too, but we are going to have some roasts next week. So stay tuned for that, especially if you didn't get your roast yet. Listen to next week's show, and hopefully your roast is one of the ones that we choose to do.
And if I fucked up your roast, I will fix it. I know I fucked up one of those roasts.
So we want to go through a little bit of email here. We got a message from Adrian. So we were talking a little bit about heroes in the last episode, about heroes being and doing things that are problematic. And Adrian asks, what about anti-heroes? Like, what happens with anti-heroes? And the movie that she uses is, she talks about the movie In Bruges, which Tom and I actually coincidentally just saw recently, separately, without even coordinating it. We just both recently watched it. And in that movie, there's a lot of homophobic slurs. And then the guy uses the word retard a couple times. And he's just kind of a shitty guy. It's Colin Farrell in that movie, I think. And he's such a shitty dude. And she says, when I first saw it, I loved it. And then I was pretty surprised that after only 10 years, my opinion could have changed so drastically. What do we think about anti-heroes and this sort of thing when they, do this sort of thing? And I don't think that you have to, if you don't like somebody, if they're like, you're not looking to them for an example, then I don't think there's a problem. Like, I don't see that. I used the example of Goodfellas earlier. Like, I watch Goodfellas and those people are horrible, but I can watch the whole movie and they'll say horrible stuff. They'll drop the N-word. They're, they're awful people, but I'm watching a movie about awful people.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. People kill people in movies, right?
In this movie, especially in Bruges. Yeah.
So like, I condemn that behavior, but I also recognize that, there are behaviors that are indicative of bad people, anti-heroic people. I think you can enjoy a movie where people use language that shows who they are. And if who they are is a shitty person, how else are you going to show that?
Yeah.
Other than through shitty actions and shitty words.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to like Colin Farrell's character in Bruges. You're not supposed to like him. You're supposed to find parts of him charming, and you're supposed to find other parts of him problematic. That's how the writing is there to make you feel. It's good writing and good dialogue because it's effective in communicating a real person, not a good person.
Yeah.
And that's an important part of like telling a story in a way that like you can identify with, and in a way that you can watch and feel entertained or feel moved. And we don't have to look at a piece of art or a piece of literature, or a piece of film and say there are no problems here. I think you can look and say, that guy's a shitty person. He sure was fun to watch.
Yeah. We got an image, and this is like thrift store art.
I would buy the shit out of this.
I'm going to post this on this week's show notes. It's a statue of Jesus that's just weird and creepy.
I don't know what's happening.
I think Jesus is dragging a zombie down to his basement or something. I have no idea, but you're going to check this out on this week's show notes. It's $4.51. You tell us what it is. I have no idea what's happening there. We wanted to say thank you to Jeff. He sent us some Canadian whiskey. We also got some steaks from David, and we've gotten a lot of gifts recently. I don't think we're forgetting anybody, but we want to thank those people for their kindness. Thank you so much. We got a message. This is from Gareth, and Gareth asked, what about people? We're talking again about the Revenge of the Nerds things. What about people, like creators, people or actors? Do you find it hard to enjoy those things once you find out that they're kind of shitty in real life? And I will say, for me, I stopped watching. I was a latecomer to House of Cards.
Mm-hmm.
Watched the first season, thought it was fine. watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes of the second season, and then the thing that happened with Spacey came out, and I immediately just stopped the show because I knew when I watched it, I was just going to see that guy and be like, ugh. Even though that character is not a likable character, me going ugh is not a big deal because he's kind of a shitty dude, but it still is like, I'm not interested. I'm just like,
I guess I feel differently. So I've thought about this, like, and I'll use the most absurd example of how I've thought about this. If I saw a beautiful painting and I didn't know who painted it, and then I thought it was beautiful and I admired it and I stared at it and it was just something that moved me and I loved it. And then somebody said, well, Hitler painted that. The painting would still be a beautiful painting that had moved me, it would not be less beautiful because the creator was a monster, right? Sure. And so for me, I think there is some amount of separation between the creator and the creation, between the art and the artist. I think I do draw some lines there. I think that not all art is the same in that respect, though. There is some art that's very autobiographical. Autobiographical art is necessarily closer to the creator. So I have more trouble with autobiographical art and the distance required to appreciate the art when it's obviously very autobiographical. I will say, too, that I think that you shouldn't, ethically speaking, like you should not do things that would enrich a creator for their creation if they are somebody that you have an ethical problem with, right? So if a creator has behaved in a way that you find ethically
you shouldn't buy a Bill Cosby record if you don't.
Exactly. But like, I am not going to say that I never laughed very hard and like till tears came out of my eyes at a Bill Cosby skit.
Yeah, no.
I know that I have. So I know that thing was funny, Now, I might not find it funny now. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I remember when I was a kid, I thought he was the funniest fucking guy.
So I guess like I can look at that and say like objectively, I know that is a funny bit. That's funny. It's clever. It's funny. Like all those things are still true. The person is a shitty person. He's a monstrous person, right? So I would never do anything that enriched that person.
Yeah. I don't know that I can, but I think the question is, but I think the question is, can you enjoy it? And I think the answer for me is I can't. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not good. It just means I can't enjoy it. Right. And that's the answer for me is I can't enjoy it.
Right? I was thinking about it differently, like meaning like, can you ethically still enjoy it? Right. So I'm sorry. I maybe read the question differently.
So and I think your answer is interesting. When you take the person out of the thing and you don't have any access to know who it is, right? You could be looking at a painting from Gacy.
Right.
How would you know?
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't know. So I recognize that, but I think like, if you have something like The Cosby Show, I certainly wouldn't want to sit down. I have fond memories of The Cosby Show when I was a kid, but I certainly wouldn't watch a Cosby Show today. It's not that I'm like so traumatized by the things that he did that I'm so like snowflakey that I can't deal. It's just I look at it and I get creeped out. I'm like, oh, the guy's gross.
Yeah.
Turn that guy off. Yeah. It's gross. I can't enjoy this anymore.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if it would bother me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like, what could I watch The Cosby Show now? I don't know. I would watch it. I think I could probably watch Cosby stand up and still think his jokes were funny. If his jokes land, they land. You know what I mean? Like, I think just knowing myself, I think I would still find them funny. Like, I don't think The Cosby Show would hit for me because it's not it's kind of an of its time thing. But I think like if I found that joke to be funny, I don't know that I would be repulsed enough not to laugh. You know what I mean?
I don't know that I would be repulsed enough not to laugh, but I don't know that I would be enjoying myself. And I think that's
so there would be like a cognitive dissonance.
There's definitely something there because I would be like, the time that I wasn't laughing, I'd be like, oh, what a gross dude. I don't know that I could stop thinking about it.
Yeah. I think like if I knew I was not enriching Cosby by watching it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of those answers, right? Any gradation of that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just know how I would feel. Right. I know I wouldn't be able to just be like, I think that a lot of times my brain would go back to it and just be like, God, that's gross.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up for this week. Like we said, if you didn't get a roast read when we do Vulgarity for Charity, we're going to be doing some roasts next week. So tune in then. But we're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.